bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising. Day is a breaking in my
I read a few weeks ago that everyone who's older should find someone who is younger to mentor them. Not to be a mentee, but to be a mentor. So today we want to give thanks to one of my mentors, Christopher Watkins Lamb, who came to our rescue during the pandemic as our online music coordinator, so people would be able to sing from their homes and be a choir even as we were physically distancing during the pandemic. His last day is at the end of the month, but it's Father's Day, and he's my stepson, and so it seemed like a special day to honor and thank him. We are very grateful that he was able to take time away from his job. He's the leader of a music program of Foothills Unitarian Church in Fort Collins, Colorado, a church that is much bigger than ours and a music program that's much bigger than ours. And we are grateful that we got to have just a little bit of his time to help us through the pandemic. So thank you, Christopher Watkins Lamb. You have been a wonderful mentor.
When you wake and feel the day's already gone, the sun is rising, but your faith is going down, and you're losing hope, a change gonna come. You gotta tune your station to a higher sound. When the way seems blockaded and you just don't have the mind, give some praise that you're frustrated. No, you ain't wrong, you're on the edge of something right. Take a small sweet step, give it all you got. Just a small sweet step, moving forward. You don't know what's next, and nevertheless, take a small sweet step, moving forward. When you're riding in the fog, it's got you blind. Remember, you're the sky that holds the clouds. Born with a hero's heart and a monkey mind. On the planet of commitment, there is no doubt. When the way seems blockaded and you just don't have the mind, give some praise that you're frustrated. No, you ain't wrong, you're on the edge of something right. Take a small sweet step, give it all you got. Just a small sweet step, moving forward. You don't know what's next, but nevertheless, take a small sweet step, moving forward. Take a small sweet step, give it all you got. Just a small sweet step, moving forward. small, sweet step, moving forward.
Keep it moving.
Take a small, sweet step.
Whoa.
Give it all you got.
You got
Just
this.
a small, sweet step, moving forward.
Come and take my
You
hand.
don't know what's next, but
Whoa.
nevertheless, take a small, sweet step, moving forward. Take a small, sweet step, moving forward.
The hours of religion, which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living.
We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our great covenant.
Let the life I lead speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me. Oh, when I come to the end of my road, lay down my heavy load. Let the life I lead speak for me. Let the work I do speak for me. Let the work I do speak for me. When I do all that I can, my friends don't understand. Let the work I do speak for me. Let the songs I sing speak for me. Let the songs I sing speak for me. When I lift my voice and sing, it changes everything. Let the songs I sing speak for me. Let the love I share speak for me. Let the love I share friends I keep speak for me. Let the friends I keep speak for me. When I draw a circle wide, let everyone inside. Let the friends I keep speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me.
The Beautiful Tiger by Christopher Buice. There once was a beautiful and powerful tiger. One day she was captured by a mean and cruel man who put her into a cage. The man kept the cage not far from his house. Every day he would bring out a bowl of water and some food for the lonely tiger. Sometimes the tiger would see her own reflection in the bowl of water, and she would say, "My, I must be a beautiful tiger." When the man heard her say this, he would lie and tell her, "No, you are not a beautiful tiger. You're very ugly. You're a pitiful creature." Sadly, the tiger would believe the man. Some days, after she ate her food, she would walk back and forth in her cage and feel energy and power moving through her body, and she would say, "My, I must be a powerful tiger." When the man heard her say this, he would lie and tell her, "No, you are weak and puny. You're a pitiful creature." Sadly, the tiger would believe the man. Then one day, when the man was nowhere around, a lion happened to walk by the cage. The lion saw the tiger inside and spoke to her. "Beautiful and powerful tiger, what are you doing lying about in that cage?" "Do not make fun of me," replied the tiger. "I know that I am neither beautiful nor powerful." "I'm not making fun of you," said the lion. "You are surely the most beautiful and powerful tiger I have ever seen. I am only surprised to see you lying here when you are clearly strong enough to break out of that cage." "You really think I could break out of here?" asked the tiger. "Quite easily, I should think," replied the lion. The tiger was not so sure at first. She had been told so many times that she was a weak and pitiful creature. But suddenly it seemed that she could feel energy and strength moving through her body. She began to pace back and forth in her cage, and then, almost without thought, she leapt against the cage door, and it flew open without any resistance. Once outside, she seemed dazed. "That cage didn't even have a lock on it," she said. "I spent so much of my life stuck in there, and the door wasn't even locked." The lion looked at her with soft brown eyes and said, "Those kinds of traps don't need locks, for it is the lies we believe in that keep us in our cages. And it is the truth that sets us free."
I invite you to join me in a body meditation as we celebrate together the human capacity to nurture. I'll demonstrate for you briefly the 3 body movements or exercises that we'll do together. And then you can follow along with me as we do them, and I'll read a poem while we do that. So the first one is called the crossover shoulder pull. Take a hand to the opposite shoulder, apply some pressure, kind of push in, And then as you slide your hand down, slowly ease up on the pressure and just go across your body to your hip and then release. And we'll do that a couple more times on the one side, and then we'll switch to the other side. So we'll do that together in a moment. The second one is called the crown pull. You take your thumbs, put them on your temples. Then you take your fingers, place them just in between your eyebrows, press gently in, and then stretch apart. And we're going to do this, then moving upwards, and we'll move kind of up along the scalp and down the neck and shoulder for that activity. Okay, and then for the third one, this is called the stress release hold. And it is simply placing one hand, palm on your forehead, the other hand, palm on the back of your head, and taking some deep breaths. And so let's do these exercises together while I share a poem by Evan Cardell Zimmer called I Believe in Fathering. I believe in fathering. I believe in the radical idea that men have the full human capacity to nurture. Hair bows and baseballs, cooking and creativity, tools and tiaras, camping and dancing, snuggles and shrieks of delight. Too many fathers don't believe in their own fathering. Too many are scarred by their own fathers to hear their heart say otherwise. Too many have known fathers who, faced with a quivering lip and tears, could only say, "Man up." Too many have known fathers who knew only yelling and hitting. Too many have known fathers who lost sight of their sacred role of protector and became tormentor. But I believe in fathering. When a human being gestates and gives birth, their brain changes permanently. A father's brain changes permanently too. Changes as he rocks his baby to sleep, delights in baby games, and soothes bumps and bruises. A father earns his new neurobiology. In a world where too many mothers hand their co-parent directions, more specific than those given to the babysitter, where a father out with his kids is asked, "Are you babysitting? And where's mom?" Where fathers are the punchline. I believe in fathering. I believe in the radical idea that men have the full human capacity to nurture, whether their children come through birth, adoption, or fostering, through scouts, sports, Sunday school, or youth group. I've known too many gay dads, too many single fathers, too many men raising children others couldn't, to believe otherwise. I believe we all, especially our children, deserve to know that the human capacity to nurture belongs to every one of us. I believe in fathering.
So, blessed are we. Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together in this space tonight. Blessed are we, the chalice lighters of resistance, justice, love, and faith. Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcasts, the walkers of our own way. Blessed are we, the border crossers, the refugees, the immigrants, the poor, the wanderers who are not lost. Blessed are we, the transgressors, the trespassers, the passerbyers, the cause takers, the defiant, the compliant. Blessed are we, the hand extenders, the sign makers, the protesters, the protectors. Blessed are we, the trans women, the trans men, the non-binary, the cisgender, the multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we, the friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic. Blessed are we who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot, and blessed are we who do not. And finally, blessed are we, for this is our beloved community, and this is who we are. Joy. Today I bring you news of two passings, Ellie Gardner and Kathy Posey. Remember them and send thoughts to their friends and their family of comfort and peace. Also remember Ted Jones's wife, Lauren Hart, Sarah Miller's daughter, Gemma Renhart's death of her mother, Larry Kitchen, and Miriam Davis's son. Everyone, please send your thoughts, a passing wish of comfort, peace, and healing. And remember that we all need someone to understand, to hold, and to comfort us. Join me in prayer. Remember the goodness in the world. Remember the peace, the comfort. Remember all things that bring us pleasure and joy. For we will come against sadness, we'll come against depression, and we'll come against disappointment. But as long as we remember that there is joy in this world, we have the strength to go on, to go forward, and remember the love that is in this world. Someone out there needs us, and we should always be willing to give what we can give to them. Remember the fact that we stand here as the hands to do the work that God would have us do. Amen.
The sweet June days are come again, once more the glad earth yields its golden wealth of ripening grain and breath of clover fields, and evening shade of summer woods, and glow of summer air, and winging thoughts and happy moods of love and joy and prayer. The sweet June days are come again, the birds are on the wing, bright anthems in their merry strain, unconsciously they sing. Oh, how our cup o'erbrims with good these happy summer days. For all the joys of field and wood, we lift our song of praise.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today at TVUUC. My name is Claudia Presley, and I'm the Director of Administration here. Today is a designated offering Sunday. What that means is that 100% of your contribution, if it is not marked as a pledge, goes to the designated offering organization for today. That organization is the UUA Holding Fund. The Holding Fund is partnering in India to combat the COVID pandemic that is raging there now. We ask that you give, and that you give as much as possible to help with that situation, which is incredibly dire at this point. The way you can give is you can go to tvuuc.org/give, or you can text give to the number 73256. Type in TVUUC and the amount that you would like to give. So once again, thank you for joining us for our service today. We invite you to contribute to this very essential organization. Have a wonderful day.
But this is a song I wrote for my eldest son the Christmas after he graduated from high school. There's a room in our house at the top of the stair. It was empty at first, but we knew you'd be there. The dog got excited the day that you came. Guess he thought you smelled weird, and I thought the same. But the cries and the changing that came every night were changing me too, till I thought that I might just stand in the doorway for hours and stare in that room at the top of the stair. There's a room in our house at the top of the stair. It was all yours for years, but then you had to share, and your calm world was burst by this loud little kid who mimicked and learned everything that you did. The games and adventures, the books and the plays, the hours of fantasy went on for days, and I watched in amazement this most unlikely pair in that room at the top of the stair. Well, there's a room in our house at the top of the stair. It was empty one night, and we called everywhere. All those demons and danger that lurk in your heart slipped in through the door and tore us apart, till we found you at last in another boy's home, safe and asleep and forgetting to phone. And I lay awake lost in a pure grateful prayer in that room at the top of the stair. Well, there's a room in our house at the top of the stairs. Now the door is shut tight and the stereo blares. Your mother is worried about your young years. No one has seen your carpet in years, and the hole in the wall that you made with your fist when the anger of aging was too hard to resist. But the long light of love cast its shadow in there, in that room at the top of the stairs. There's a room in our house at the top of the stair. Now the bed has clean sheets and the floors are all bare. An acceptable place when folks come to stay. Your brother and you boxed and moved you away to a duplex apartment just across town. Now I sit on the bed, and as the memories rain down, there's a hole in my heart where you'll always be there, in that room at the top of the stair, in that room at the top of the stair. Thanks. Thank you. I don't mean to overdo this, but this is something I wrote for the same son 2 Christmases later. There's a room in our house at the top of the stair. I came home one day and you'd moved back in there. The company you worked for went right down the tank. Seems that you have no more cash in the bank. You asked if you could and I said that'd be great. You said just for 2 months, but now it's going on 8. And the icebox is empty and your crap's everywhere in that room at the top of the stair.
If you've ever seen the movie A Big Fat Greek Wedding, you may remember the moment where the father of the bride stands up before the whole family and says, "The man is the head of the household." And the bride turns to her mother and says, "Is that true, Mom? Is it true that the man is the head of the household?" And she says, "Yes. It's true. The man is the head of the household, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head any way she wants to." So today I want to ask the question, who is the head of the household? And the reason I'm asking this question this time of year is Father's Day, and so often that word and that role gets associated with a very top-down, patriarchal idea of authority. And sometimes this idea shows up in unexpected places where you would never imagine, where you would think people would have different ideas. For instance, when I began ministry in this church, we had a computer program where you could enter the names of members, so you keep track of membership, and you'd enter the names, but the computer program required us to name who the head of the household was. And sort of an awkward decision to put on the shoulders of a church administrator. And Jenny Arthur, who was our administrator at the time, made the executive decision that whenever possible, she put a woman's name in that category of head of household. So I mention that story just because it shows you these ideas of hierarchy and patriarchy can just show up when you weren't looking for it in our computer program. It just creeped up on us. Now, our congregation periodically offers a financial planning class that was designed by Dave Ramsey, who's an evangelical Christian, and we have creative facilitators who sort of adapt that to the needs of our liberal, progressive congregation. Only there was this one time where a couple was preparing to teach a class, and they were going through the materials, and some of the materials, Dave Ramsey talked about how the man was the head of the household. And this led to a very spirited conversation between the couple because both of them were women. And they weren't sure how to teach that lesson. So needless to say, we threw out that lesson and created our own UU lesson about family dynamics and money. So these ideas creep up. You're not looking for them. They just creep up. Of course, in some very traditional religions, these ideas are not only, actively taught, they're actively enforced. And I've seen a presentation that I think is done with new students at Bob Jones University, and a conservative evangelist quotes the scriptures, and this is 1 Corinthians, where the Apostle Paul says, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man." And as he was giving this talk, he had a stair step with 3 stairs on it. And he had some young guy standing on the top stair representing Christ, and then he had another guy on the second stair representing man, and there on the lowest low step there was woman. Clearly a highly visible hierarchy there. Now, the theological problem with this arrangement, and there's a lot of other problems with this arrangement. It's heteronormative, it's sexist, it's binary. There's a lot of problems with this. But the theological problem is it's idolatry. It's idolatry. The very image suggests that there is, a woman's supposed to worship the man. The man worships God in Christ, and the woman worships the man. The man is accountable to God. The woman is accountable to the man, giving that young man God-like powers, the powers of a god. Now, I don't know how much world mythology you've read, how much you've studied the mythologies of all the cultures of the world. If you've come across the stories of Icarus or Prometheus or Sisyphus or Demeter or even Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, there is a theme throughout the globe in mythology, and it goes like this. If a mortal man tries to act like a god, he's going to get in a mess, and he's going to drag everybody else in it with him. That is a big theme, cross-cultural theme in mythology. And yet that's what our church software wants or wanted us to do. We got new software. That's what it wanted us to do. Pick somebody, make them the head of the household. Pick somebody and give them the power of a god. Now, if you read anything about political science in high school or college or as an on your own self-study, then you probably come across the words of Lord Acton, who once said, "Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." So if you take some young guy fresh out of adolescence, and you tell him, "Hey, buddy, you're the head of the household." And then you tell some young woman, also very young, "You must obey this man. He is your head. He's your head." Well, you're just setting that couple up for a lot of trouble. You're setting it up. I've got a picture in my office of my parents when they got married, and they look so young. And the culture set them up for trouble. Set them up for trouble. All sorts of different expectations around gender role, all sorts of expectations. They divorced amicably. It was never a hostile relationship, but they were set up. They were set up from the beginning. And it could be much worse than an amicable divorce. If If you doubt the danger of giving a young man the power of a God, just look at the statistics around domestic violence. 1 in 4 women are victims of domestic violence. Violence in the household. Most often the perpetrator is a man. So when Molly Rochelson was in high school, she's a young adult now, when she was in high school, someone asked her what she wanted to do when she grew up, and she said, "I want to smash the patriarchy. I want to smash the patriarchy. That's what I want to do." Well, you think about it, smashing the patriarchy isn't an anti-male activity because we are all limited by the patriarchy. We are all limited by the systems that are put in place in our computer software, in our governments, in our household. And when we smash the patriarchy, we set everybody free. We set everybody free. The Aboriginal activist Lily Watson put it this way. She said, "If you have come to help me, you are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is tied up with mine, then let's work together. Then let's work together." We are bound together. We are connected to each other. We are interdependent with each other. We rise together or we fall together. We succeed together or we fail together. When patriarchy becomes idolatry, we need to smash the patriarchy the way the Hebrew prophets smashed the idols, smashed the statues. Sometimes, though, it's not a concrete thing. It's an image. It's an idea. And in Western culture and Judaism and Islam and Christianity, there's this idea of God the Father. God the Father. So how do you break that open a little bit? How do you break that open? Well, Bill Murrah, who many of us know, once led a group of us in an exercise that I thought was quite effective at breaking open that image. He invited us, and I'm going to invite you to hold out your hands, hold them up, hold them palm upward toward the sky. He invited us to say the words of the Lord's Prayer with our palms up to the sky. And if you know it, you can join with me if you're comfortable. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And then he invited us to turn our hands with our palms facing the earth and shared words that were inspired by Native American and indigenous people. The earth is our mother. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth. This we know. All things connected like the blood which unites one family. All things are connected. We did not weave the web of life, we are merely strands in it. Whatever we do to the web of life, we do to ourselves. Amen. One of the things I love about that prayer is it just, or meditation or whatever you want to call it, is it just opens things up. It breaks things open. It moves beyond this idea of God the Father or God the Mother to this sense of wholeness, this sense of wholeness that includes both. In the 19th century, Margaret Fuller, a transcendentalist, Unitarian, went to many of the Unitarian churches in Boston, was good friends with Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau and the Peabody sisters, wrote lots of essays, sort of a precursor of feminist thinking. She wrote in her journal, "There is no wholly masculine man or purely feminine woman. No wholly masculine man, no purely feminine woman." Now, she wrote this centuries before the modern transgender movement. The idea, though, is an old one. It's as old as the yin-yang symbol. Old as the yin-yang symbol, where it shows the balance of light and darkness, weakness, strength, softness, hardness, masculinity and femininity. No one wholly masculine, no one wholly feminine. And the idea has contemporary resonance in the transgender flag. You look at the transgender flag, it has the color blue, which is the traditional color, by tradition, the color of baby boys, and pink, by tradition, the color of baby girls. And then there's a white line for everybody who's in transition, everybody who doesn't fit into the binary, everybody who doesn't fit into any one of those categories. Margaret Fuller taught us there is no wholly masculine man, no purely feminine woman, and as it is with human beings, so it is with God. We don't need to stand on the mystical ideas. You can approach the divine without mediator or veil. Without mediator or veil. We don't have to stand on the lowest step with some middleman blocking the light. Some middleman blocking the light. We can have a direct connection, a direct experience. And Margaret Fuller wrote about her own direct experience. And she wrote about it in her journal. And oddly enough, she didn't have this experience in church. She had it in a field walking home after church. And she had this epiphany, this big epiphany. And she wrote later, "I saw that there was no self, that selfishness was all folly, and the result of circumstances that it was only because I thought myself real that I suffered, that I had only to live into the idea of the all, and all would be mine. The truth came to me, and I received it unhesitatingly, so that for an hour I was taken up with God." Notice that she doesn't use the imagery of God the Father or God the Mother, but this enormous idea, this transcendent idea of the all in all. So let's return to the question, who is the head of the household? Well, if you're single, that's an easy question. That's an easy question. There's no competition. You can check that off. If you're in a committed partnership or you're married, maybe you don't want to be the head. Maybe you'd rather be the neck and turn the head any way you want. Of course, there's a bigger image. It's bigger. Science kind of chops people up into parts. But a good neurologist will tell you the brain isn't in your head. I mean, it's all through you. It's all through you, connected through the nervous system. The wisdom, the intelligence of the body is spread throughout the whole body. Spiritually speaking, the eye cannot say to the hand, "I don't need you." The head cannot say to the foot, "I have no need of you." And we can't say to anyone, "I have no need of you," because we are all members of one body. And we need each other. We need each other. That is right. We need all the members of the body working together if we're going to keep on moving forward toward a better future. We're having a congregational meeting coming up. We need everybody. We need everybody. We need everybody to come with your voice, your vision, your vote. We need everybody involved. We need everybody. If you haven't had a chance to make a pledge yet, we need everybody. We need everybody's energy. We need everybody, because we got some heavy lifting as we open up. We need all the members of one body. And so this week, I woke up and I stepped out on my back porch, just happened to be right as the sun was rising. And I saw pink, and I saw blue, and I saw white. All the colors of the transgender flag, but also all the colors of the sunrise in the morning time. So let's keep on moving forward toward that vision of beauty. Let's keep on moving forward toward that vision of peace, that vision of equality, that a vision of a justice. Let's keep on moving forward toward a non-binary vision of Father's Day. Let's keep on moving forward toward the dawn of a new day. So be it.
Bright morning stars are rising. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Coffey. I am a community minister, member of Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. And I wanted to talk to you this morning about why I support the adoption of the eighth principle. So for those who don't know, the eighth principle is a proposed addition to our 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. And this eighth principle reads as follows. We, the member congregations of Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build the diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. I'll be sure to post a link in the YouTube comments and in the Facebook comments during the service when this airs, where you can read more about the history and about the reasons behind the eighth principle. But I wanted to share maybe a tangible example of why this is important to me and why it's important that I think we adopt it not only as an association, but as a congregation. All during my time as a Unitarian Universalist, from the time that I joined a congregation to the time that I became a seminarian, to my time as a minister, to my time working in this congregation, I've heard that anti-racism and anti-oppression work is messy. And with the word messy, it conjures images for me of finger paint. This idea that multicultural work is going to be messy and we're going to get, paint everywhere, and, we're going to have the creative work is going to be a messy endeavor. But I think what gets lost in that is that when we're talking about dismantling racism, we're talking about addressing white supremacy in our institutions. Messy doesn't mean all fun and games, because we're not dealing with paints and canvas and paper. We're dealing with lives and livelihoods. We're dealing with relationships. We're dealing with people. And the idea is that anti-racism and anti-oppression work is messy, not because it's always fun and not because we get our hands dirty or we get into the weeds of things, but it's messy because we will say things, we will do things that make it unpleasant. I know in my time in congregational and religious work, I have done and said things that I look back now and I cringe. I have said things that have hurt people of color. I have done things that have hurt people of color. And it doesn't feel like finger painting. It feels like a pain in the heart. The benefit of a eighth principle, of writing into our guiding documents, our guiding means of organizing ourselves, is that it gives us something to come back to. Those times when we fail, those times when we fall short of living into that beloved community, those times when I fall short as a white person, not aware of my own privilege, not aware of the ways that my actions might be hurting people. I work for Meadville Lombard Theological School, and one of the things we say is that we don't have a perfect history, but we have a perfecting history. And for that reason, I think that part of that messy work, part of that perfecting history of Unitarian Universalism is the adoption of the eighth principle. And I hope you will join me in voting to accept the adoption of the eighth principle in our congregation. Thank you.
Let's say together. May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of the world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great, astonishing dance in which we move.
Let people living in all lands declare that fear and pain are gone. Rise above differences and stand in love and understanding one.
I invite you to come to our virtual coffee hour after the service, or come to our live vaccinated Vespers on Wednesday night at 7, or sign up for our newsletter to find other ways to stay connected both online and in person. Find ways to be community in this time of recovery. Go in peace.